From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I am Nick Barris. It's Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. We have a good show on tap for you today. We're going to open up the phone lines for you and let you talk about your pets. How about that? You can tell stories, anecdotes, or more importantly, ask questions so we can utilize our guests. They're here for a purpose. Yes, she's been doing this for 12 years plus, and she has yet to be stumped on a question about an animal, except I think I once asked her how she would go about removing an abscessed fang from a cobra, which is something that she hasn't done. She doesn't deal with poisonous snakes, but let's ask her that question again, and maybe she's done her research. Allison Fields. Nice to have you on, Allison.
Nice to have you on, Nick. So good to be here. And no,
veterinarian.
No, I have not removed an abscessed fang from a cobra.
You have not. Now,
No.
would that be a tricky thing, wouldn't it?
Well,
kinda?
yes, I would think so.
Okay, I was just wondering. You don't do poisonous snakes?
I don't do snakes.
At all?
No.
Even the harmless variety?
No,
that,
my boss sees snakes, and so
Okay.
snakes are in the clinic, and they're very pretty, and I like to hold them and you know, say, "Oh, pretty snake," but I don't do the medicine on them.
I understand. Okay, I've got some other stumping questions. Wait, look, Greg Bears is walking around in the back here. Greg, would you move that monitor over here? Would you mind? Look, he's a good man. Have you
He's
met
a very
Greg?
good man.
We're
I've
in
not
this
met Greg.
other studio.
New studio.
Look, we're on the big screen over there,
Oh my
too.
gosh, 87 inches of us.
That's right, at least 80. That is perfect. Thank you. Anyway, this morning we'll open up the phone lines. You see the number on the screen, 737-7587. Ask the veterinarian, but boy, you're coming to us just as... I know we're going to have another freezing temperature, and we can ask Leland later, but I mean, gosh, this week looks spectacular. It's going to be up into the 70s by Wednesday.
How much fun.
Yeah.
So what does that mean in animal world?
Yeah.
Come on, what is it?
Well, I mean, the flea and tick and all
You've
the tick
got
control stuff.
Absolutely.
You
Now
said,
is the time to get it on.
Now, meaning that
Now.
some people who, during the colder temperatures, don't, right?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people don't use flea and tick control during the winter time, although we really didn't have winter until, what, the end of December. I mean, we had a few cold snaps, but we didn't get really cold. But yeah, now's the time to just go ahead, whatever you're using, whether it be a topical, an oral, a Seresto collar, whatever you're using, you know, now's the time to get it on before everything hatches out.
And what's the temperature that kicks it in? Is it when it gets into the 50s and 60s?
It's low 60s. I could look up the exact number, but it has to be that for like a consecutive number of days before they'll hatch out. But it's that time.
Well, yeah, and you see, we're going to have this whole week, it looks like, of it being warm.
Yep.
Even though they may hatch out now, even if we get another freeze, they're here then probably, because we may get another, certainly freeze before April, but they're here.
Yeah.
Anything new out there? I know that you've been on. I mean, it's any other stuff that people are going to come by. The pill is what you've been really saying has worked well.
It's my new favorite.
Yeah.
There's two pills. There's a monthly pill called NexGard, which is by the makers of HeartGard, which everybody's heard of. It's once a month. It does fleas and ticks. And then there's Bravecto, which is 3 months of coverage, fleas and ticks. And then, as always, there are the topicals, Frontline Plus, Advantage. They're always a good choice.
Yeah. Oh, they work great. So now's the time to get it going.
Get it on.
Does that also coincide? Heartworm medicine is all the time, right?
It is all the time because we are not guaranteed harsh enough winters to kill all of the mosquitoes. I killed a mosquito New Year's Day.
Did you really?
I did. In Perry County in the cabin. I was like, what is that? It's a mosquito. So we just are not guaranteed those harsh enough winters that all of the mosquitoes would die, and that's how heartworms are transmitted. One mosquito bite by an infected heartworm, your dog is now infected.
Okay, so that's year-round. You have to go that route. And
Absolutely.
The other thing, I know you came in early and had a chance to chat with Steve a little bit, which is always great. And he's got dogs. Or
Yeah,
I don't know if
Golden
he has
Retriever,
more. He has one. And the other thing that comes now is you already notice it's picking up. And pugs do it all year round anyway. You know, I have pugs, and I'm talking about the shedding. And kicking it in.
We're heading into
the Furminator.
The Furminator. We love the Furminator. I never would have thought that I would have been so enamored with a brush that looks like it does nothing.
Yeah.
Because the tines are so small, and I wasn't going to buy one, and then the clinic got one, and I used it on Baxter years and years ago, and I think I got a whole nother dog out of my dog, like a mound of fur.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
It just they do Furminator for cats as well. Do cats shed like dogs? Yeah, they do. Okay, so would you use?
Sure,
that?
they
Yeah.
make Furminators in different sizes. They make a small, a medium, and a large. The smallest is designed for cats. I recommend if people have both cats and dogs to get the medium because you can use it on your cats and you can also use it on your dog. That way you don't have to have two.
Okay. Well, again, the number 737-7587. If you want to jump in, we'll take some calls after the first break. But what have you been seeing lately at the clinic? Anything out of the ordinary? Anything unusual? What are some of your clients coming in with right now? Is it basically maintenance?
We're starting to see a little bit more of, since it's starting to get nicer out, not as cold, we're starting to see a little bit more of the injuries and things that you get. You know, dogs have been in all winter, just like we have, and so now everybody's starting to get out and play in the yard and go to the park, and so we're seeing, you know, some limping and just from being active.
What
and
kind of
doing
injuries?
stuff.
We're just talking about, like, I mean, they get muscle pulls, leg pulls.
They get strains and sprains, which are a little hard to completely diagnose because they can't talk to you.
Yeah.
But they can also tear their cruciate ligament, just like people can. They can tear their medial meniscus, just like, I mean, everything that you can do to a knee or a hip, they can do too.
Now, you know, Rick, our producer back there running the show, he has a dog named Jerry. Among others. He's got 2 dogs, but they're great dogs. And he said that Jerry had got, wasn't it a vaccine or a shot, Rick, in the leg? And the dog was fine. It was in the hip, right, Rick? The dog was fine that day, but the next day you thought it was shot, the way it was limping around.
So some dogs will have a localized vaccine reaction.
Okay, what is that?
So vaccines are typically given under the skin, not necessarily in the muscle.
In the muscle, okay.
But if a dog is kind of squirmy or wagging their tail, happy to see us, sometimes it's hard to get in this little space between the skin and the muscle.
Okay.
And so we might scrape or nick the muscle or the underside of the skin with the tip of the needle. And in some cases, some dogs will have just like a localized reaction and get very sore, may have a little mild swelling, and it usually lasts for 24 to 48 hours. And then it goes away.
Okay.
So in cases like that, we recommend that if anybody has any complications following a vaccination, to give us a call. We can get some anti-inflammatories, and usually they're good as new. There's Rick. Let's see how the dog is.
Oh, yeah. He's giving the thumbs up. The dog is doing fine as he just framed us up. Well, I was wondering, are dogs like humans in that some have higher thresholds for pain than others?
Absolutely.
Because I was going to say, like our pugs and such, I mean, they enormous threshold for pain. I mean, there have been times.
Beagle?
Yeah, the beagle not so much.
So yes, you are completely right.
You're asking about the beagle.
Yeah.
Not so much with the
when
beagle.
I was in vet school, I remember standing in the hallway and seeing a dog being admitted to the hospital for surgery.
Yeah.
It was a black Labrador who had been in a hunting accident, and half of his nose had been hit by a shotgun, and it was dangling.
Oh,
and
no.
do you know what that dog was doing? Wagging his tail, happy to see everybody.
So what are we thinking? Is this receptors that it's not feeling pain quite the other? Everyone you get your nose shot off, you're going to feel it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, the poor thing.
He was great. He did fine. He got all put back together, but it was just, you looked at him and his tail's wagging to meet the band, and he's giving kisses, and he's just so happy to see you, and you're like, whoa, buddy. But then you have, a dog that comes in that tore a toenail. And it's a little bitty dog, and it's screaming hysterically because it thinks it's dying.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
It's just like humans. But that was what really worried me about the pugs at times, is that how do you know, how do you pick up if a dog is feeling uncomfortable?
Some dogs are very stoic.
Stoic, yeah.
Beagles are not.
No, beagles aren't so much.
Drama. Like, there are some beagles that we have to put a muzzle on to do a nail trim, not because they're trying to bite us, just to make sure the owners don't think that we're actually killing their dog.
Because the beagles just react so much to it. And that's a breed thing. It's not an individual beagle thing. It's a breed thing. So run me through just a few of the other breeds then. Like, you hit beagles, and I know it's hard maybe to pick specific, but beagles for sure you're saying. Which ones are more babies and which ones are more stoic?
I think the smaller you get, the more babies, and the bigger you get, the more stoic.
Well, now, Mashed Tater.
Well, Mashed Tater kind of grew up in a totally different circumstance, and
so
I don't
it's what
know
she
that
was
you
used
can really,
to. Who knows? Because she was in a horrible situation.
She grew up probably used to discomfort and pain, and I don't know that we can count
So there's
her in
different
that.
conditioning, you had rescue dogs and things like that.
In general.
In general.
The little guys are going to be a little bit more
true in real
Like a
life. I'm a little
2-year-old.
guy, and if I get a
Right.
hang,
You
did I tell
cry
you about
for
that? I had a bad
days.
infection in my finger. Do you remember that, Rick? When I had that. Rick goes, "Oh, don't we all remember it?" If I'm hurting, I guess everyone hears about it.
Months
Rick's just
and
like,
months.
all right, listen, we'll take a break on that note. When we come back, we'll open up the phone line, 737-758. So look, they're open right now. So if you want to jump in, you can. We're going to be here till 9 o'clock. Your chance to ask questions of the veterinarian. I've got some questions for you about food.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the kind that you're supposed to feed the dogs.
I don't believe you.
Oh, no, I am. And if you have any questions, please jump in. Free vet advice. No one knows it better than this woman. There's some that maybe are equally, but she's good. She's real good.
I don't know everything.
We'll take a break. Be back with more right after this. Well, not everything. Like